What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Credit Plug Vlogs. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about why I don't lend money to anyone, whether that's friends or family. Now, this is sort of in a response to a comment that I got on one of my recent videos where I just said briefly why it's better to have access to financial resources, borrowing money from the bank versus lending money to your friends or family. Now, the reason why, now before I get into this, this might come off as somewhat offensive to some people or insensitive, but it's just the truth of the matter and how I feel based off of my own personal experiences lending money to people. So, one of the reasons why I don't lend money to people is because in the past, I've actually lost a lot of relationships with friends or family members because I lent them money and I had this expectation of them repaying me. But what happens in 95% of the case is that when I lend money to people, I never receive anything back. And what would happen, this happened a lot because, growing up, I was always, somewhat financially disciplined. I've always had, money, right? Even if I wasn't earning a high income, I always maintained, a certain level of financial discipline, just saving my money, being financially disciplined with my money. So, usually I was the one out of my peer group who, had some money, right? And there's been so many times where I would lend someone money and never get anything back. And so this happened so many times to the point where I would just cut that person off completely. And what I realized is that when you're mixing money with your friendships and relationships, it could oftentimes ruin the relationship if the person doesn't get paid back. And that's what would happen to me so many different times. And after a while, I kind of got conditioned to, people doing that, right? Taking advantage and not paying back. And so the way that I looked at it, if, for example, if I loan you $300 and you never make any effort or attempt to repay it, such a small amount, the way that I look at it is that you don't even value the friendship to let a good relationship be tarnished by, a small amount of money. And it's just something that I really couldn't overlook. And it's not really the money, it's really the principle of it. Because the way I look at it, if someone loaned me $300 or whatever amount, $500,000, and I really needed it, I would make every attempt to repay that person back because they actually did me a favor. But when you're dealing with friends or even family members, there's this sense of entitlement like, okay, I can owe you, I can never repay you back. And you're supposed to overlook that because we're boys or because, we're friends or we're family members. And I just don't subscribe to that mindset. Now, another reason why I don't loan people money is because I'm not the bank. And if you can't go to a bank to get money, what does that tell you about your own financial habits, right? If you don't even have the credentials to be able to get money from a financial institution, why should I entrust you with my money? And another reason why I don't loan people money is because a lot of people know what I do, right? I'm in the financial education space. I share a lot of insight into how to get money from financial institutions. But ironically, a lot of people that I know who aren't in the best financial situation, people who I've known for a very long time, have yet to even tap into some of the information that I'm sharing. And so I actually had a friend of mine who, years ago when I came to them, I said, I have some information on how you can get access to credit, how you can, get funding, how you can build your credit. And their exact words to me were, I don't do that credit shit. Right. And so this same individual, their lease was up recently and, they were looking to move out of their apartment. And they came to me and they asked me, my credit score is a little bit lower. And I've noticed that a lot of the applications for rentals have been getting turned down because, my credit is in like the low 600s or whatever. And they asked me, do I know of a way to raise their credit score, in a couple of weeks so that they could qualify for, an apartment? And the crazy thing about it is that this same individual years ago when I came to them, they didn't tap in at all. I had another individual, someone who I've known for a very long time. I literally watched them blow through hundreds of thousands of dollars within a matter of like a year and a half. And this was recently. And then the same individual, after blowing through hundreds of thousands of dollars, came to me, asked me to borrow money. And when I'm looking at kind of what they're doing, their lifestyle habits, and it's just an irresponsible way that they're dealing with their finances, then to me, that just shows to me that you don't really care about, your finances. And then to know you have someone connected to you like myself who has a lot of access to financial resources, you become like a crutch, right? And it gets worse, especially when people know you have money, because it's not like I could say, oh, I don't have it, because they know I have it. But the way I look at it is that if you're going to be irresponsible and then come to me relying on me to bail you out, that to me shows that you don't really care about the relationship. You're basically using your connection to me as a crutch for you to be irresponsible with your finances. The main reason why most people are in dire financial situations is because of their own irresponsibility. And I've loaned money, tens of thousands of dollars, to able-bodied adults with no mental or physical handicaps, just people who make bad financial decisions. And people always find the money to do what they want to do, whether that's indulging in alcohol, going out to eat at restaurants, drugs, whatever their vices are. People find money to do that. The whole saying, people will do what they want, buy what they want, and then beg for what they need, is one of the truest things that I've noticed with a lot of people. Even the buddy of mine I told you, who blew through hundreds of thousands of dollars in like a year and a half. I think it was like maybe like $250,000 in a year and a half. This individual wasn't even paying their bills, right? Wasn't even paying their cell phone bill. At the end of the day, people are going to do what they want, even if it's not in their best interest. People are going to do what they want. So I really don't like lending money to people because of the experiences that I've had with relationships where, I've loaned people money, they haven't repaid it, and I would feel some type of way about it. Now, back when I was loaning people money, I really needed it back. Now, if I were to loan someone money now, which I wouldn't, I would just give it to them. And so, like I said, I make thousands of dollars every single day. So like if I loan someone 200, 300, 500, $1,000, it doesn't really even matter. At the end of it, it's not going to affect me financially. Now, back in the day, yes, like that did affect me financially, and it hurt a lot too. And there was this Biggie Smalls lyric on the Ten Commandments. He said, "Money and blood don't mix." And I never understood what that was for like the past 25 years. Like I never understood what he meant by that until I grew up and I realized, the conflict that can arise from your close personal relationships when it involves money. And I actually had an old friend text me a couple weeks ago, and this person owed me about $500 from 10 years ago, right? And when I was contacting them to, ask them, hey, what's up with the money that I lent you? And mind you, at the time, this person was completely broke, right? They had a job, but again, making irresponsible decisions. They were compelled to ask for money. And being a friend that I was, without even hesitation, I loaned them the money. And so this person ignored my phone calls for months, right? And I came to the conclusion like, okay, I'm never going to hear from them again. So this person recently texted me like, hey, how's it going? I hope everything is good. Now, the way I look at it is like, don't hit me up after all these years when you decided to run off and not repay me my money, when you knew that was the wrong thing and you were intentionally ducking and avoiding. And another reason why I don't lend people money is because in the past, I've given people tens of thousands of dollars. I've given people cars. So whenever I upgrade to a new car, I give the car away, right? So I've given people cars. I've set friends up in apartments, you know, taking people off the streets. So I've done a lot to help people get out of their dire financial situation. And it's always been a slap in the face, right? So when I give people cars, they'll crash the cars, they'll run up tickets. So when I hook somebody up with an apartment, right, this person was off the street. They didn't have any credit, didn't have the 2 months of, first rent and security deposit. And so basically what I did, I vouched for that person. So like somebody else had an apartment that they were trying to sublease. I pretty much was like, hey, I'll take that off your hands. And based off the strength of my relationship with the person who had the apartment, they, just handed it over to me. And then what I did in turn was hand it off to, my friend, two friends, as a matter of fact. And so not too long after they, moved in, they stopped paying rent. Like I think it was like maybe like the first 2 months they paid rent. After that, they stopped paying rent. So remember, this apartment was still under the other person's name, and basically it ruined the relationship that I had with the person who provided the apartment because I vouched for other people. And that's when I was like, I'll never vouch for somebody just because they know who you are, you're friends with them, because they could put you in a situation where you can have your own reputation tarnished. So that's pretty much just my stance on vouching for people, loaning people money. If I have money that I'm willing to give you, I'll give it to you without any expectation of receiving it back. But if someone ever comes to me asking me, can I borrow some money? The answer is always going to be no from here on out. I can show you how to get money from the banks, but I'm not going to loan you any money out of my own pockets. Because if you come to me asking for a loan, I'm going to expect that money back. But knowing the track record of people not repaying you money, especially now, people look at me like, okay, he's well to do. He has money. If I borrow some money from him and don't pay him back, it's no big deal. He can eat the loss. That's how people think. And I don't like ruining relationships over money. So if it's a relationship that I value, I'm not going to lend you money. I might give you, $50, $100 just as a gift, but, don't come to me asking me for $5,000 to borrow, because the answer is no. I'm going to tell you, hey, let's fix your credit and I'll show you how to get funding on your own. I'm not a bank at the end of the day. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Let me know your comments and questions down below. And until next time, take it easy and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.